headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
And I'm delighted to say that I can welcome once more Dr. Sebastian Gorka from Washington, D.C. Sebastian, a very good morning to you where you are.
Morning to you, the king of common sense.
Now, what on earth is Biden doing coming here?
Before we start, we'll get to that. Can I just say, I saw your tweet yesterday. I just want to say thank you for being the person who is shutting down the loony conspiracy theorists on our side. I've had it with the loony left, but when people say, I'm a conservative, I'm a Tory, but the KGB, colonel is the good guy, and Zelensky is some, dissembling liar for the World Economic Forum.
I know.
The world has gone insane, so thank you, Mike.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate your support. It is extraordinary, though, isn't it, why there are so many people who believe this rubbish?
It is. And look, I understand the cynicism. I understand after 2 years of COVID, I understand the lies from the quote-unquote experts and the legacy media. I get the skepticism, but let's not fall into cynicism. And I remember when, you and I are about the same age, when conservatives hated all KGB colonels.
Yes.
When realized that the KGB is a bad thing, and when independent countries being invaded by Russia is not good. So guys, a little bit of common sense, please. I understand there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, and distrust, but come on. He's evil, he's murderous. And think of, from conservative values, what is Zelensky doing? He's staying there, standing his ground, fighting for his family, fighting for his nation. And we here, Biden offered him an evacuation, said, hey, why don't you run away and hide? And what did he say? I don't need a ride. I need ammunition.
Yes.
We should applaud that, Mike.
We really should. Instead of looking for reasons to not believe it. I mean, I understand that people have suffered at the hands of some bad propaganda from some bad governments and from bad leaders as well. But that doesn't mean that everything that anybody says is completely and utterly wrong or a lie, does it?
No, not at all. We have to be discerning, but to say that being invaded by another country is okay, please stop the insanity, guys.
Yeah, absolutely right. And let's talk a little bit about, talking of insanity, this incredible Hunter Biden story. You've been talking about it, of course, for a long time. Once again, proven correct. The number of times that you and I now have to say, I told you so, is extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, it truly is when you have the grey lady here in the United States. The used to be the newspaper of record, the New York Times.
I know. What a shambles.
A total disgrace. A year and a half later say, oh, yes, by the way, the Hunter Biden laptop story is real. The photographs with the prostitutes, the snorting cocaine, the business with China, the business with Ukraine, the business with Burisma, it's all real because we had it verified. They don't mention who did the verification. Why? Because they're ashamed. A year and a half ago, the oldest newspaper in America, founded by one of our founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton, the amazing New York Post, said, yes, we've had our guys verify the laptop. It's real. This is one of the most corrupt individuals in America who profited from his daddy being vice president. Now he's president. And what happened back then? I know the lady, Emma Jo Morris, who broke the story for the New York Post. It was banned on Twitter. It was banned on Facebook. I tried to repost it, and I wasn't allowed to repost the story. But now it's real. Now it's been confirmed. Now, why is that? This is the real question is, why would they say this a year and a half later?
Yes.
And we know that there is actually a confidential grand jury investigating Hunter Biden right now. So maybe the New York Times got a little whisper that there's something very bad coming down the pike for Joe Biden and for his son, and they don't want to look even more embarrassed. So stay tuned, friends.
That's interesting, isn't it? We were just looking at the pictures as you were speaking there, Sebastian, and even now, having seen them before, they're still incredibly shocking. And the fact that this is the son of the most powerful man in the world, supposedly, the President of the United States of America. And the other question I would have is why were you not allowed to repost them? Why were they said to be unreal pictures? Why were they said to be put together as some kind of a hoax? I mean, I just don't understand that.
Well, and it's so peculiar when they said, well, this is disinformation. When we had Obama's former CIA director, Obama's former chief of national intelligence say, this looks a lot like Russian disinformation. Well, John Brennan, well, Jim Clapper, well, Michael Hayden, where you apologize for your lies? And how is it Russian disinformation when this is the, the Monty Python level absurdity, when Hunter Biden's lawyers demand to get the laptops back?
Right.
They're not your laptops, then your lawyer can't demand to have them back. And the images you just showed, look, Mike, when I was in the White House, I had a top secret clearance. I've still got my clearance. Every years you have to fill out a form. What are your foreign contacts? What business arrangements have you had with anybody overseas? We have the voicemails on his laptop. I've played them on my radio show. Right. He said, and I have to edit this for, public consumption. Of course. I'm in business with the effing spy chief of Communist China. If I had a brother who was in business with the chief spook in Beijing, I don't get a security clearance. I would never be allowed to get a security clearance in my life. His father is now 25 feet away from the nuclear launch codes every single day. And we have the evidence of why he should be absolutely banned from any responsibility.
And he's never explained it properly, really, has he?
He's denied it. No, he said, I have never discussed, we have it on the record, I have never discussed my son's business dealings with my son. Then, thanks to other people at the New York Post, we get the photograph from the swanky Italian restaurant here in Georgetown of Hunter Biden with his daddy Joe Biden in the private room with his business partners from Central Asia. We've got the photograph, the smoking gun.
Unbelievable. Absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, the leader of the free world has come to Brussels to have a powwow with NATO, which apparently appears to me to be about as useless as a chocolate teapot. They don't seem to do anything. President Trump tried to make some of the other countries pay their fair share and actually do something towards the defence of Europe. But NATO doesn't appear to have the stomach for it, does it?
Yeah, well, look, he landed yesterday, and my request to you guys in Europe is, can you just keep him, please? We don't
want him.
Just put him in some old people's home somewhere with a cup of Thai food and just leave him there. When it comes to NATO, I cut my teeth in the 90s on NATO. I helped Hungary join the alliance when I was working in the defense ministry there. I was a fellow at the NATO Defense College in Rome, and it was the most successful defense alliance of the modern age. Defeated the Soviet Union without a shot being fired, thanks to Maggie and thanks to Reagan.
Yeah.
But now we've had a war for 4 weeks, and they're going to have a summit 4 weeks in. Who cares about the summit? This should be Supreme Allied Headquarters in Mons. This should be the North Atlantic Council meeting day one to find out how we can help the Ukrainians, because God bless them, they have taken out, latest figures, 15,000 Russian troops. That is what the death toll was in Afghanistan after 10 years, and these brave freedom fighters have done it in 3 weeks. So we should be helping them to arm themselves, to take out the Russian invaders, and now they're having a protocol summit. It's insane. And what about the UN, Mike? I thought the UN was supposed to prevent wars.
Well, the UN is an absolute sham of an organisation. The idea that you have a National Security Council, we were just talking to Isabel Oakeshott about this a moment ago, that has Russia and China on it, who basically veto everything that anybody else wants to do. The whole point of having it is redundant, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the whole thing should be pushed into the Hudson River. I said that's the only job I'm going to take in the next Trump administration, just for the sheer fun of it.
Yeah.
If JT wants to make me ambassador to the UN, I would love it, because the second I walk in the building, it would catch flames. I think I'd do that job.
I think you should do that very, very soon. I mean, when I lived in New York City, it was the bane of my life. I used to have a friend who lived down sort of 44th Street, and every sort of couple of weeks, he wasn't able to walk to his own apartment because they'd closed the roads off. And in addition to which, it was the highest generated number of sort of foreign criminals that would come and work there and all have diplomatic immunity. So, there were women getting raped, there were people getting run over in the street. They never paid a parking ticket in their lives. They didn't bother paying tolls. They didn't bother paying anything because they all weren't diplomatic immunity. It's an absolute ridiculous situation.
Well, forget about what they did in New York. I mean, with thousands of dollars of parking fines racked up. Look at their reputation overseas. This is an organization that was created to stop wars, to prevent wars. Instead, we've had them from, the Balkans to Korea to now Ukraine. And then when they send their quote-unquote peacekeepers, we find out they're raping young girls again and again and again.
Yeah.
It is absolute utter disgrace. And to have dictatorships in the National Security Council that can veto anything. And then when the Ukraine conflict breaks out, who's chairing the session of the Security Council? Russia!
I mean, you couldn't really make it up, could you? You think it was a satire of some kind of movie that somebody's written. And that's the other thing that these kind of, Ukraine deniers come out with, where they go, oh, yeah, well, the thing about Zelensky is he used to be an actor. Well, so did Ronald Reagan. He was one of the best presidents that anybody had ever seen.
Bingo. That's what I always say when you have people say, well, he's an actor. Yeah, can I remind you we've had one before?
Yes.
He won the Cold War along with Maggie Thatcher and blessed St. John Paul II.
Yes, absolutely right. So tell us about what Biden's doing anyway. Once he gets back to the White House, how is he running America? How's it going? What's the latest?
It's catastrophic. We have double-digit inflation. We have petrol prices through the roof. We have the highest petrol prices in American history. We have the Secretary of Energy laughing on a show talking about how soon we will have electric cars on every street in America. And we're thinking, hang on, do you know how those cars are charged? Because it's not unicorn farts. It's actually, coal-powered, energy station. Electricity station. So we're living in cloud cuckoo land in the administration. We've had, think of this, 2 million illegal immigrants will be crossing our border this year. 2 million, not a couple of thousand. And those are the ones that we know of. And they're not given court dates to appear. They are told on their own recognizance, when you'd like to come in to immigration services, we'll look at your case, which means what? They just disappear into the undergrowth. Now we have a woman who is being nominated for the Supreme Court. The hearings are happening right now today in the Senate, who was chosen because she's black and a woman, and was asked by one of the senators, excuse me, can you define what a woman is? And the woman who was chosen because she's a woman doesn't know how to define the word woman, Mike. We're living in an insane, bizarre world.
We really are. Well, listen, I was saying the exact same thing just today. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, gave his budget statement yesterday. He was on Julie Hartley-Brewer's show this morning. She asked him to define a woman, right? This is a Conservative Chancellor in the number 11 Downing Street. He said, I think Boris Johnson put it best yesterday, and I agree with everything he said. Huh? Yeah. I mean, even they can't do it.
That great lady, Kelly, saying, yeah, it's not difficult. Adult, female, human.
Yes.
If you can't say adult, female, human, forget being chancellor, forget being a judge on the highest court in the land. I wouldn't let you walk my dog.
And here's the other one, right? The other great one is that Kamala Harris, who also is a woman, as far as I'm aware, probably can't define herself. She was quiet for a very long time. Now that she started talking, I'm beginning to wish she'd go back to being quiet again.
Yeah, every day there's another foot-in-mouth episode we can use on my show. The best one was she was on a podcast for Black Americans. So this is for Black Americans. And she treats them like kindergarteners. She said, asked about the biggest war in Europe since 1945. She says this, don't believe me, look it up. She says, yes, Ukraine, it's a large country in Europe. And Russia is next door, and it's bigger, and it's invaded Ukraine, and that's bad. This is the woman who is a heartbeat away from the presidency. Yeah. Have pity on us, please.
Yeah, or maybe even just one possible, stairway down from Air Force One away from it. But the point is, as well, is that she's obviously she must have been taught to speak like this, surely, by some White House aide who fears if she actually got any more complex than that, she'd say even more nonsense, because they must have said to her, just talk back to whoever asked you a question by effectively repeating a few facts very slowly and see how that goes.
Think of this. This woman, before she was a senator, was the chief prosecutor. She was the attorney general of California. Can you imagine if you went to prison because she was involved with your case? I mean, every single case that has her fingerprints on it should be reopened and reinvestigated, because this woman is a cretin. Not only that, she's an evil, evil person. Yesterday, we heard her national security advisor, after her wondrous trip to Poland, where she laughed about the refugees in that press conference with the president of Poland.
Yeah.
Her security advisor has resigned, but that makes 10. 10 people have left just Kamala's office in the last year, Mike.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And what are they doing about the next election? Because presumably sleepy, creepy Beijing Biden isn't going to run, is he?
Well, that's the trouble. If he doesn't, who's it going to be?
Right.
Is it Kamala? We have the weird, you know it because you lived here, we have the weird primary system for candidates in each party. She dropped out of the Democrat primaries in the first couple of weeks.
Right.
He garnered less than 2%. So if he leaves, you're going to have a woman at the top of the ticket who couldn't even get 2% of her own party's voters to vote for her in the primaries. And who's on the bench? Who else do they have? Are they going to put Mayor Buttigieg, the gay Secretary of Transport who disappeared for 2 months without telling anybody, to go on paternity leave, when I'm not sure how, he had to suffer a lot with the adoption of a child? Or who's going to be the candidate? We don't have a candidate on their side. On our side, it's President Trump. He's running. And if we can sort out the election, if we don't get any hanky-panky with alien ballots, he will be a walk-in, because now we have a president who is making Jimmy Carter look good.
They're not going to open up the old sarcophagus and resurrect Hillary Clinton, are they?
I pray to the Lord that that is the case, because to see her get trounced a second time by President Trump would be delicious. She thinks she's running. They've reopened the Clinton Foundation. She's giving, select interviews every week. So I think she's running. Whether the Democrat Party lets her is another question. But the establishment, a large chunk of the establishment, is behind crooked Hillary.
Really?
We'll see. We'll see.
Because even, a lot of Democrats that I speak to don't even like her anymore. That's how bad it is.
I know. So the pickings are slim, but if it were Hillary, well, that would be just superb.
Absolutely right. Well, listen, Sebastian, as ever, great to talk to you. Keep up the good fight. When are we next going to see you? Are you on tonight?
I don't know. Whenever you need me, guys, you have my number. Text me, and I am available to come to the home of common sense in the UK.
And I think they've wiped away all travel restrictions now, so you can pop over and I can take you for lunch, although I won't be taking you to lunch where I would have once taken you, which is a restaurant here called Roast, because I don't know if you heard the intro to this. Yesterday, I went there. It's a very nice sort of steak restaurant. They do all sorts of good seafood. I had a cheeseburger. They came to me and said, "I'm sorry, we can't serve you a cheeseburger medium, because the Southwark Council have told us it's illegal."
Gosh, what about the great Hungarian restaurant? Is it still there when I lived there?
The Gay Hussar? No, I think it's gone.
Oh, man.
I don't think it survived.
You have to choose the next place we go.
I will. I'll find one. Don't worry. Absolutely, you're on. Sebastian Gorka, former White House aide, host of America First, of course, and the Gorka Reality Check, always talks a great deal of common sense.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.